San Francisco International Airport, Friday, September 19, 2025. The day began like any other, with travelers streaming through the gleaming terminals, rolling suitcases in tow, and the usual hum of anticipation in the air. But soon, the usual travel stress was replaced by a quiet, contagious panic that seemed to ripple through the crowd, spreading from one anxious face to the next. People stared at their phones, faces lit by breaking news alerts and frantic messages from friends and family. The glow of screens reflected the shock and confusion in their eyes. Husbands and wives whispered urgently, travel plans unraveling in real time. Conversations grew tense as families tried to make sense of the chaos. The cause? An executive order from Washington, D.C. that sent shockwaves through the lives of foreign tech workers. The news was sudden, the consequences immediate. On an Emirates flight to Dubai, panic erupted mid-boarding. Passengers who had just settled in for a long journey were suddenly gripped by fear. Indian nationals pleaded with flight attendants. They'd just received urgent messages. Return to the U.S. immediately. Do not leave. Some were in tears, others frantically dialing loved ones. Their H-1B visas, and their right to live and work in America, suddenly felt at risk. Years of hard work and dreams now hung in the balance. The crew, caught off guard, tried to manage the chaos as the plane sat on the tarmac, unsure whether to close the doors or let more passengers off. After tense negotiations, 5 H-1B holders left the plane, their futures uncertain, their journeys interrupted in a moment of crisis. Across the country, similar scenes played out in airports large and small, as word of the order spread. Foreign workers canceled family reunions and business trips, racing to get back before a new invisible wall went up. Some abandoned luggage, others sprinted to gates. The weekend began not with relaxation, but with a frantic scramble to return to American soil. The sense of urgency was palpable, the stakes impossibly high. This was not an isolated incident. The panic echoed from coast to coast, touching every major airport. At airports from JFK to LAX, foreign workers faced impossible choices. Some missed weddings, others funerals. All were forced to choose between family and their future. All feared being locked out of their lives by a policy written in bureaucratic ink. The rules had changed overnight, and no one knew what tomorrow would bring. The panic was real, the deadline unclear, but the fear was universal. Every traveler wondered if they would be allowed to return. The American dream, for thousands, was suddenly on hold. Hopes and plans were suspended in midair, waiting for answers that might never come. The airport became a stage for uncertainty, anxiety, and the fragility of belonging. In those tense hours, the meaning of home was rewritten for so many. The panic stemmed from an executive order signed by President Trump, introducing a $100,000 fee for new H-1B visa petitions. The H-1B program is the main way U.S. companies hire high-skilled foreign professionals, critical for tech, finance, and healthcare. The order's details were unclear, but it was set to take effect in less than 48 hours. No one knew if it applied to current visa holders or just new applicants. The lack of clarity fueled fear. Immigration lawyers and HR departments were flooded with calls, but even they had no answers. For nearly 400,000 H-1B workers, the order felt like a personal attack. Lives suddenly conditional, futures at risk. The executive order, dropped on a Friday, disregarded the human reality of those who built their lives in America. It turned a policy debate into a weekend of chaos and heartbreak. Anjali Sharma, a software engineer in San Francisco, was packing for India, her hands trembling as she folded clothes into her suitcase, her mind racing with worry. Suddenly, her phone buzzed with urgent warnings from her company's legal team, alerting her to a new executive order that could change everything. She and her husband, Vikram, both H-1B holders, faced an agonizing choice: travel to see her sick mother, or risk being locked out of the U.S. and losing everything they had built. "We just stood there, surrounded by suitcases, not knowing what to do," Anjali recalled, her voice heavy with emotion. Vikram canceled his ticket, but Anjali felt torn. Her family needed her, but her life, her job, and her future were in America. The decision felt impossible. Ultimately, Anjali went to India, Vikram stayed behind, and they hoped for clarity, clinging to the hope that the rules would change or that a solution would appear. "We're gambling," Vikram said. "What if we're wrong? I might not see my wife for a long time." The fear of separation haunted every moment. He watched her go, praying the country he contributed to would let her return. feeling powerless as she disappeared through the airport doors. Their story echoed thousands of families forced into impossible decisions that weekend, each one facing heartbreak and uncertainty. The executive order wasn't just policy. It was a wrecking ball in people's lives, shattering plans and dreams in an instant. For Anjali and Vikram, it meant painful separation and constant anxiety, their only connection a flickering video call. They spent the next 48 hours scouring news and forums, desperate for updates, clinging to any scrap of hope or information. Their crisis was a direct result of a policy rolled out with little thought for the people it would upend, leaving families in limbo. The uncertainty was excruciating, the stakes deeply personal, as every hour apart felt like an eternity. For many, the American dream now felt like a risky bet, with families left to wonder if the country they called home would ever truly welcome them back. On the East Coast, where the city never sleeps and dreams are built on ambition, Emily, a Chinese national and financial analyst in New York, had worked tirelessly to build a life she was proud of. She was about to board a long-awaited vacation to France, a trip she'd planned for months, a rare chance to unwind and reconnect with friends abroad. As her plane taxied toward the runway, a frantic message arrived. "Don't leave the U.S. H-1B rules are changing." Panic set in, her heart pounding as she read the words. Her company's HR urgently warned all foreign employees to cancel international travel, fearing they might not be allowed back in. Emily flagged a flight attendant, her voice shaking as she explained her situation, desperate for help. The pilot, understanding the urgency, agreed to return to the gate, a rare and unsettling event for everyone on board. She walked off the plane, her dream trip slipping away with every step, canceling her trip and losing thousands in bookings, hotel reservations, and non-refundable tickets. Her dream vacation vanished in minutes, replaced by a sense of helplessness and loss, and a new uncertainty about her future in America. Would she ever feel secure again? Emily's viral social media post captured the helplessness and frustration of the moment. "My whole life is here, but I'm just a pawn in a political game." Her words echoed the feelings of so many. Her story resonated with thousands. Canceled trips, sleepless nights, and the constant anxiety of not knowing what tomorrow would bring. The fear of being stranded haunted many, making rest impossible. Emily's grounded flight became a symbol of the chaos and unpredictability so many faced. A government decree reaching onto a moving airplane and pulling someone's life to a halt, with no warning. The emotional whiplash was real, the confusion overwhelming as people tried to make sense of the sudden changes. For many, the message was clear. No matter how carefully you plan, your life could be upended at any moment with a single notification. The cost wasn't just financial, though the losses were steep. It was the loss of trust, stability, and the feeling of belonging. The airport terminal became a place of heartbreak, not adventure, echoing with stories of dreams deferred. The American dream once again was put on pause, leaving many to wonder when or if it would ever resume. As the executive order broke, legal and HR teams at tech giants like Microsoft, Google, and Amazon went into crisis mode. Urgent memos warned H-1B employees, return to the U.S. immediately, cancel all international travel. These weren't suggestions, they were strong advisories to protect both employees and companies. The memos triggered a wave of canceled flights and frantic decisions. Behind the scenes, companies mobilized lobbying arms, legal teams, and called contacts in Washington. The $100,000 fee threatened to change hiring overnight. Some executives even floated moving jobs to Canada. The scramble revealed how deeply big tech depends on global talent. The panic was amplified by the company's own warnings, making the threat feel personal and immediate. The weekend became a test of resilience for both workers and the industry. Relief finally arrived Saturday. Under pressure, the White House clarified. The $100,000 fee applied only to new H-1B petitions, not current holders or renewals. The immediate threat of being locked out vanished for most. Tech companies quickly updated their guidance, telling employees no action was needed. The collective sigh of relief was palpable, but the scars of the weekend remained. Immigration attorneys warned the administration's unpredictability still created a climate of uncertainty. The crisis was over, but trust was shaken. The American dream felt more fragile than ever. The White House clarification ended the immediate crisis, but the emotional toll lingered. H-1B holders, often seen as tech elites, were reminded how precarious their status really is. The financial losses from canceled trips were significant, but the personal sacrifices were greater. Missed family events, separations, and stress. Families faced tough conversations about their future in America. The chaos forced many to rethink long-term plans and question if the U.S. was truly a stable place to build a life. The executive order treated them as commodities, their presence dependent on a fee. The clarification didn't erase the feeling of being targeted. The real cost was in lost trust and the heartbreak of feeling unwelcome. The American dream, for many, now came with a warning label. The executive order's $100,000 fee sent a chilling message to the tech industry. Startups and smaller companies would be hit hardest, unable to afford the cost of hiring global talent. The policy favored big corporations, stifling competition and innovation. Even tech giants considered moving jobs offshore to avoid the fee and uncertainty. The order also raised wage requirements, making H-1B visas even harder to get for junior talent. Legal challenges loomed, but the industry's future was now tied to a long, uncertain battle. The American tech ecosystem's balance was at risk. As the dust settled, the H-1B community faced a future still shrouded in uncertainty. The executive order marked a shift, valuing foreign workers for revenue, not contributions. Many began exploring options in countries like Canada, where the path to citizenship is clearer. The U.S. was no longer the only or even the best option. Tech companies started rethinking hiring and investment, building global talent networks less reliant on the U.S. The chaos of September 2025 was a wake-up call. Policy changes can disrupt lives overnight. H-1B holders now live with caution, hoping for stability but fearing another storm. The American dream, for many, remains just out of reach, clouded by the fog of uncertainty.